the current blues. Because I'm currently so blue. Wow, 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 wow. We gotta dance to this song. Hey, pussies! Today, lately, mostly today, I've been doing a lot of self-care. Because I'm on my period for the second time in a long time. I feel like a 12-year-old girl. Like, getting her period for the second time ever. I'm realizing that she's gonna cry for the rest of her life. Ice cream and weed. And love. Cuddles. So, today I am intoxicated from ibuprofen, weed, and chocolate ice cream, and a beer. One beer. So, this episode is a sex questions episode. However, it's not live because they're not as good of quality, and so I'm too sad for that. I'm too on my period for that.
There you go. The truth comes out.
I think I have chocolate on my face. So, I'm just gonna do this now with you. With him.
Hi.
Because this is a kinky sex questions video, I wanted to talk about Folsom Street Fair, which we both went to together, and it was really fun. Did you have a good time?
Yeah, it was awesome. I've been wanting to go for a long time.
Yeah, we've been wanting to go for a few years now, and we finally got to go this year in San Francisco. Every September on a Sunday they have a fair called Folsom Street Fair, and it's kind of like just your regular local fair, but it's in San Francisco, so there's a lot of booths.
Regular local fair.
Regular local fair, except most people are wearing leather or latex and in some sort of kinky outfit, and it's really cool to see everyone expressing themselves. There's a lot of... What would you say is there?
Oh, man.
How would you describe it?
Everything. Lots of people just walking around in anything. In harnesses, lots of like leather harnesses.
So many flaccid
Public
penises.
Flogging.
Public flogging, yeah.
Public flogging. Flogging for charity, that's great.
Yeah, well, it was flogging for Society of Janus. If you live in the SF area and you're kinky, you can look that up. Society of Janus.
I remember seeing like a inflatable pool.
Inflatable
for,
pool,
like,
yes.
Water sports.
Water sports, which is the act of urinating on somebody else.
A bunch of shops like with handmade leather stuff and all kinds of just kink stuff, and you just want to buy everything.
There was a cool booth that was specifically for like beautiful kitten collars that were really nice and lovely and very expensive. There's a booth of all these different floggers, paddles, crops, rope. Like, they had lots of different stores with like different kinds of BDSM toys and stuff, and they were really nice and lovely and also very expensive. But we bought a paddle, and we are very proud of it. You bought it mostly.
Yeah, but we had to get something other than a drawstring bag.
And we got a lot of swag. There was a lot of booths there, just like passing out informational flyers. Lots of psychiatrists that are kink aware, kink affirming, LGBT aware.
Lots of testing stuff.
Lots of STI and PrEP information.
And there were like different areas for like specific parts. So there was like people into pet play, and then like there's a little booth for littles.
Yeah, a little booth for littles. Yeah.
That was really cool.
Yeah, the Little Scouts in San Francisco had a booth, and the Canine Unit had a little area. There was an area for just female identifying individuals, which was nice. Lots of stuff there was lots of suspension and rope play happening just in the middle for people to watch. there was a lot more education than I thought there would be, so I was really happy about that. It was really nice to see.
Overall, it's a great experience.
Overall,
Definitely recommend going at least once.
Yeah. We'll have to put some pictures. Look at us at Folsom Street Fair. I'm putting a picture right here. I'll put a picture over your face. If anyone is into kink or interested in kink or wants to support kink or wants to learn more or is into it and wants to find people who are also into it, or you're just curious, or you're just walking through San Francisco on this day and you just need to get through the street, which we did see people who seemed like they were accidentally there, because it does take over some streets and you don't really have to necessarily pay to get in. It's a donation. So I'm sure people just walked through and were very surprised.
You do go there, like, go prepared, go with an open mind.
Right, if you are going to go, definitely keep your mind open, because there were things that I saw that I was surprised to see. When I did my video on kinks and I was talking about pet play, I did say that, like, there were probably people who did pet play of almost every animal. I'm sure that almost every animal exists. And while at Folsom Street Fair, I did see a giraffe, which that one surprised me. We saw a tiger. A big fluffy tiger, but that was a furry. This giraffe was more of like a pet play giraffe, not like a furry almost.
I don't think I saw.
They were in latex, but it could have been still a furry thing. But it was cool. Yeah. It was cool to see, and there was a lot of ponies doing pony play.
There was a dragon.
There was a dragon, yeah.
Some guys waved their dicks at us. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. So we went to a party, which was cool. I'm glad that we did that, because we got to go to the party after a certain time. Like, the fair got really crowded, and then we were like, okay, let's go inside. So, luckily, we got to see the street from inside for a while, and that was cool to just watch from the party.
Sticking your head out the window and just, like, waving people as they went by.
Yeah, it was nice. We had a really good time doing that.
That's fun.
All right. Are you ready to answer questions?
Sure.
So we're going to answer some questions and something really exciting. I'm now an officially certified sex educator. Woo! Go me! So these questions that I'm answering are coming from someone who has had 60 hours of training to be a sex educator. And it was long and fun and hard. So, I actually got an email. This is like the second question I've actually had emailed to me, so it's really exciting. I'm getting excited even though I'm so low energy because everything hurts and I'm dying from the inside.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm not going to read the email verbatim, but it was very sweet, and I really enjoyed getting this email. Basically, the email was asking how to bring up exploring more kinky or more explorative stuff, such as kitten play, into the relationship. And sometimes it's awkward, or they just don't really know how to bring up getting more of that. So I'm going to give some advice to the person who emailed me. I'm just so jazzed about that email. I'm trying to remember, like, how we went into it to try to help me.
We totally discovered it by accident. We just started with the leash because it was fun.
Oh, that's true. We did start with a leash.
And then it kind of just fell into place. And I think it really changed the whole dynamic of our relationship once we kind of
had the leash.
Yeah, and, like, discovered that.
The person who emailed me also mentioned that they had tried using the leash or some other stuff, or they said some other kinky things.
Yeah, they attempted role play once and they felt awkward.
Right.
And then they didn't really bring it up again. But that's where I'm like, just try something else. Like, especially with role playing, like, there's so many different things that you could role play that, like, you could be into one but not into other. Like, we do kitten play, which is like, we kind of like lightly role play, like you being a kitten.
It's very, very light. It's more of like, I'm honestly more of like a little that likes to dress up like a kitten.
Yeah.
So it's like almost little and kitten play simultaneously.
But like, we do that, but that wouldn't necessarily mean that I'm into role playing. Like, I wouldn't necessarily role play as something else. Like, that would be difficult for me, I guess. I guess in that situation where they just felt awkward and laughed, like, I could see myself doing that if I was role playing something else, but
yeah,
what we do just kind of feels natural. And we kind of just discovered that we didn't just, like, jump right into it, like, let's try this.
Yeah. So I think my first tip would be to keep exploring different things. Like, you find something that doesn't work or just keep exploring. And even we kind of have to, like, set aside specific time to have, like, explorative sex, because there's always, like, the sex that we have to feel connected, and then the sex that we have to, because we're both just super horny, and then the sex that we have that's, like, explorative sex, or we're trying something new, or, like, we're slowing down and doing, like, a rope scene or something. Like, I'm putting on all my gear, and we're doing, like, that kind of thing. So, definitely, like, have a specific time where you're going to explore sex. And if it's like, okay, Friday night, we're going to do some explorative, sexy stuff. And that could be super fun.
Honestly, I'm trying to think of a way where you could just kind of see what's out there. And, like, Folsom Street Fair would be a good...
An event like Folsom Street Fair, yeah.
It's kind of a lot all at once, so it might be a lot for something introductory. But sometimes you might not know you're into something until you, like you might not know it exists.
That's true.
Until you actually see it.
So, definitely do some it would be fun to do research together on things. And, like, if you are near a big city at all, like, dungeons and, like, I know dungeon seems like a scary word, but they have, like, introductory events where it's like, this is some small taste of things that are in the BDSM realm, and you can, like, watch a rope scene or watch a really low impact like medical play scene, or, you know, watch a pet play scene that's, like, maybe not right up your alley, but it could be something, like, you might get an idea or decide that you might want to incorporate one of the things that you saw into the next time you guys play. And then also communicate about, like, what kinds of things worked. So, like, afterwards you could say, like, oh, when you did this during this time, that was really hot, or, like, try to do more of that next time, or something, like, or, like, I really like it when you seem blah blah blah, so act more like that next time. Because, like, for us, I had to get to know you more even to figure out, like, what kind of person, or, like, what kind of persona you were into.
We figured each other out.
Yeah.
Realistically.
Oh.
And it works.
So what we used to say in my group is communication, exploration, do what works for you. So I think the first thing would be, like, to tell her, I really love having sex with you, and I would love it if we could do some more of that kinky stuff that we've been trying. Specifically, I want to incorporate a leash, or I want to go to this kinky event and watch people do rope scenes and then go home and have regular sex, or whatever the case is. And then try it out and keep the things that work, and don't do the things that don't work anymore. Obviously,
definitely focus on what works too. Like, make it a positive experience, especially with you guys, like, exploring new things. It could be easy to get discouraged, especially if your partner says something like, oh, that was weird, I didn't like that. Like, that might make somebody scared to try new things.
Yeah, so hopefully it sounds like your partner is supportive of you and you guys could talk about things since you're married and everything. But for other people, just, like, hopefully you have a partner that you actually can communicate with. And if not, then you should get better at talking about sex. Why shouldn't anyone? It would be beneficial to get better at talking about sex, so you can actually talk about the things that you want. I mean, geez, how are you going to get it if you don't ask for it? Thank you for emailing me. Jesus Christ. Please send me emails. I love it. It made me want to cry. My email is positivepusslive@gmail.com. So this question is from Reddit. It's from not even Reddit's X device. It's from our BDSM. And the question is titled New to the Daddy/Little Scene Advice? And the question is, so I've been seeing this girl for a while now. We are dating, and she's big into BDSM and whatnot. I think I am also. She's my little and I'm her daddy, but I'm pretty new, like I said. We have done little things like slapping her in the face, zip tie her hands together, collar for her neck. I know she wants more than just that, and I think I do also. Anyone have any advice, tips and tricks, anything I should know?
Okay, first of all, this just sounds like a dom sub relationship, like daddy little girl. Like DDLG is kind of a very specific kind of dom sub relationship, and as soon as I read slapping her in the face, it just seems like it's something completely like a different type of dom sub relationship.
It could be that they like to call each other that, and that's
which
fine.
is totally fine. But in terms of like pointing them in the right direction, in terms of advice, like one big part, I guess, is to discover what type of dom you are, and then what kind of sub they are, and that can kind of point you in the right direction of like things you might want to try exploring or like stuff like that.
Right. For this question, it's almost like the same advice for the last question, but one of the red flags to me is that they say, I know she wants more than just that, and I think I do also, ? So obviously some communication needs to happen here, where you guys need to talk about like what it is that you do want. Like, do you want to do more stuff, and what stuff is that? And also, like you said, finding out like what kind of dom you are can also help lead you into the direction of what kind of stuff you want to do. And I think taking that quiz, that BDSMquiz.org, together would be a fun, kinky thing to do. And, like, you can kind of figure out what kinds of things they're into and into exploring. And I think that it would be really beneficial for you guys to go to some sort of event, like a kink event or a workshop, where they do have, like, you can learn how to do stuff. So, like, if you're slapping somebody in the face or zip tying their hands together, there's, like, probably some stuff you could learn about safety. I don't want to assume, but I'm just saying,
like zip tying stuff.
Workshops can really be helpful for like practicing BDSM in a, like, if you're new to it, in a safe way. Because like if you are new to it, there are probably some things that you could learn about, like how to be like risk minimizing when you practice these things. And also you can learn what kinds of things there are that you can do, like fun kinky stuff that you didn't think of. My advice is to do some exploration in the real world, not just online. Go to like a workshop, and also talk about things with your partner, like what kinds of things they want and what kinds of things you want.
Yeah. Also, if you get really down to it, like, try and think about the aspects of things that are a turn on for you. So, like,
yes.
if she likes getting slapped in the face, why does she like getting slapped in the face? Because it hurts and she likes the pain? Does she like it because it makes you seem like more dominant, or like it's some kind of power exchange?
Right.
And all of these, like one thing can turn you on, but the reason why it turns you on can be kind of subtle, and like you have to kind of figure out exactly why it is.
It's like a core erotic theme almost. Like, do you like it because you like being used, or are you just a sadist and you like the pain?
Sounds exactly what I was saying.
Alright. I just put in other terms. I'm sorry. This question is also from... No, it's from our BDSM community.
Oh, this one is a good one for you to answer.
Okay. So this question is, do any of you have family members that are also a part of the kink community you belong to? I'm a guy, 23 years old, and I just met my little sister at a BDSM get-together, sitting on a guy's lap, laughing and having a good time. And I want to kill myself. Period. There's not really any The question is, do any of you have family members that are also a part of community? And I think basically what this guy wants to know is, how does he handle this?
One, like...
I think it's up to this person and their sister.
Also, right. Like, before the writer gets, like, villainized for anything, I think there's also a big difference between not being okay with, like, a family member having a sex life and just, like, I just don't feel like being in the same room as, like, my little sister having sex.
No, right.
I think that's reasonable.
I agree. I think that, like, if you don't want to see it just because you're afraid that other people are going to judge you, then, like, that's not really a good reason, because, like, in this community, people aren't really going to judge you. Like, it might be weird, and honestly, like, there's somebody that I'm in a community with that I pretend that I'm related to, but we're not actually related. But I do know people who are actually related in the same, and they go to the same community events, but obviously they just don't have sex together or around each other for the most part.
You can, like, choose not to involve yourself in certain aspects of
But yeah, like, if
life.
At that point, it just, like, depends on comfortability. Like, if you're not comfortable with it, then you're just not comfortable with it.
No, you shouldn't, like, turn around and then, like shame them for going there.
Yeah.
Like, you're there too.
I think that definitely, like, figuring out, like, what both you and your sister are comfortable with. Like, if you don't want to see her at an event, then, like, tell her what events you're going to. And, like, if there's an event that you both really want to go to, like, make some sort of negotiation. Like, okay, like, we can both go to this, but, like, I don't, like, let's try and stay apart. Or, like, you know, like, if you see me somewhere, just, like, leave that room. Like, let's pretend like we don't know each other or something like that. Like, you can negotiate that situation. And I think that if you aren't comfortable just, like, being at the same event, just you don't want to see her, then I think you can manage that. Like, some events are pretty large.
Yeah.
Like, go to bigger events. And also, they just said that they saw their sister at a BDSM get-together, and they were just, like, sitting on somebody's lap. And I don't think this was, like, a play party or that this was sexual at all. It was just, like, a get-together. So, I think that seeing your sister at, like, a party, like a regular party, and just happens to be with BDSM people there, I don't think you can be like, no, I don't want to see you here. Like,
yeah, you can't tell them.
At that point, that's, like, not really, but that's rude. But, like, if you don't consent to watch your sister have sex, like, that's one thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Like, as long as, like, it's their power to leave a situation, you can't put that on them. You can't be like, I didn't consent to see you. You can't do this in my line of sight anymore.
I'm gonna read the comments on this one a little bit.
I think I read this one, and somebody...
Oh, yeah, this person was snarky. Oh, no, your sister has a sex life. Time to die. God forbid she has a good time. Whatever you do, you're going to have to acknowledge your sister is an adult with interests just as valid as yours. I mean, yeah, you are going to have to acknowledge that your sister is an adult with interests that are valid, but also, like...
You can do that and
you
also not watch her.
Negotiate to not see each other in a sexual environment. But I don't think that was sexual. And
just, like, take it to extremes, just, I guess, to...
Yeah.
General concept, I guess.
This is a good idea. If one of us becomes uncomfortable with something we see, we've agreed to leave the room until it is over. So, like, if you do find yourself in a situation where you both want to go to something, then that's something you could do. But, like, I mean, no one's going to judge you for like, running into her at events. And, like, if you guys really do want to not see each other, then you could agree to just not go to the same events. If you guys are close enough, you can talk about it. Anyway, next question. This one is... Do you want to read it? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Newish Dom here. I'll cut straight to it. During play with my sub, I sometimes have issues maintaining my erection. My gut instinct is just that my mind just isn't used to juggling everything. When she's tied, making sure the restraints aren't misplaced or too tight, on top of making sure that she can't wiggle out because she is a wiggler, making sure I don't drop the dirty talk, she absolutely loves it, moving myself in the manner I want, ensuring she is in the position I'm wanting, making sure the spank slaps are placed aimed correctly with the right power and right implement, making sure if there are any other toys involved, they are still in the proper position or they haven't lingered in one area too long for vibrator numbness, etc., etc. I've always been analytical as hell, so this is just taking it to a whole nother level. You get it.
I've been there.
You've been there.
I've definitely been there, and these are the, like, it gets better with time. It kind of just takes experience for it to just become, like, second nature, and you don't have to, like, think about it so much. Honestly, that has been one of the largest appeals to being, like, Switch and just being a sub, because then you don't have to make any decisions. You don't have to do anything. You just listen and just, you don't have to think about anything.
That's nice.
When you're like a dom, you're just like, is this a good position? I don't know. Is this like good pace? I don't want to tire myself out. Like,
you're a good dom. You are good at it though.
Years of practice.
Okay, they go on. I'm definitely into it still, I think, question mark. Oh. But throughout the session, I've got to stop, give myself some manual stimulation before I can fully get hard and get back to it. I guess my ultimate question is having trouble keeping an erection normal for a new dom in this instance, or is this problem indicative of me not being suited for this? I'm hoping that as we progress and I get more comfortable with things, this will become less and less of a problem. But she has both feet firmly planted in subland masochism, and I worry that I won't be able to fulfill her needs. For both her sake and my own, I would rather we figure this out sooner rather than later. As I'm writing this, I realize I should be speaking with her on these things as well. We've always communicated very openly, and I don't see why this is any different. Instead of deleting this post completely, though, I'll leave this here because I am curious what others' experiences have been. We'll sit down and talk about things next time we're together and see what she thinks. I'm sure she has some thoughts on this. I doubt my erection issues have gone wholly unnoticed.
Yeah, you are totally fine. Like,
it's pretty normal.
Like,
yeah.
Especially with, like, for me, my penis doesn't work. Like, if my mind's racing on too many things, like, if there's too much going on around us and stuff, like, I'll get distracted. It's usually prominent with, like, a new partner, because I'm like, I don't know what this person likes or doesn't like, and I'm thinking a lot about, like, how I'm performing or whatever. But then, like, with a partner that I'm, like, really, really comfortable with, I'm like, I know I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and it's just kind of second nature. There isn't a lot of thought that goes into it, and honestly, just kind of communicating about it too, like communicating to her, like, oh, hey, sometimes like I get a little caught up in thinking too much, and like that's why it doesn't work, because you never know what she might be thinking. She might be thinking like, oh, you're just not into it, and that's why it's not working. But like, you are into it, you're just thinking really hard about it. And so that's like helped me in situations like that. Just be like, hey, look, it's like kind of not working right now, but it's like just because I'm overstimulated or something. Because the worst thing is like freaking out about it, like stressing, like if all of a sudden it stops working, and then you're just like, oh god, it's not working, I'm not going to be able to perform, oh my god, and then it just like spirals out of control, because once you start like freaking out about it.
I think that also this dom might have jumped in too quickly. I think that, because, okay, they say that they're still into it, I think, but there's just a lot that they're doing. So they're like, he's tying ropes and has a vibrator and is like spanking her and all this stuff. Like, maybe you should have sex that's like just impact play and see if you like that, where you're just focusing on one thing at a time. To see, because he's wondering, like, am I into this? Is this keeping an erection a problem of me not being suited for this, or is this a problem that is like other people have? And yes, other people have this problem, but also you should see if you are into it and, like, try to do the things, like, isolated so that you can focus, and, like, get really good at spanking and then incorporate the restraints, or get really good at the restraints and then get good at spanking, or, like, you know, it doesn't all have to be all at once. And maybe, like, there's one thing that your sub really needs, like, maybe she does really need the restraints, and, like, that's one thing that she's not willing to negotiate, so, like, that could be the thing that you start with. And, like, when someone is new to BDSM, I always say, like, go slow, do one step at a time. And this sounds like this person is trying to do all these things, and they're like, having a hard time, like, keeping up with all of it. And then also, like, staying in the mood, because, like, yeah, it's hard to stay in the mood if you, like, are thinking.
Yeah, you could also, like, incorporate it into it, I guess. Like, if she's restrained and then all of a sudden, like, it stops working, then just, like, stop for a minute and then just, like, however you worded it, manually stimulate yourself, like, while slowly teasing or something like that. Kind of incorporate it in, so it's just, like, you're gonna, like, pause for a second and then it's suspenseful, I guess.
Yeah. There could also be some sort of, like, orgasm denial. I think that it is worth it to figure out if you are really into all of it and what kinds of things that you really like. Because, like, if you're doing all of this for her, then, and you're not, like, super into it, then, yeah, over time it's going to get more harder to do. So, like, figure out, like, what kinds of things that you are super into, and you guys can probably develop some sort of dynamic, BDSM dynamic, that you both really like. That's what we did.
Yeah. We found what worked.
Yeah. Like, you gotta do what works for you in your relationship. So do some exploration and try to, like, single out one thing, you know? Don't stress out about it.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, tell her beforehand, this might happen, but it's not because I'm not into it. Like, we might need to go slower or whatever.
Always helps when you're really comfortable with your partner.
Yeah, you guys talk about it more. Oh, and then, yes, the communication is super important, especially with, like, BDSM. So, like, ask her, like, what kinds of things, like, she really needs, and, like, you can tell her, like, if there are things that you need, or things that help you with, like, keeping your dick hard, ask her to help you by doing those things.
That's always very helpful.
Communication. Blowjobs work really well for you, so.
I'm sure they work for a lot of people.
Blowjobs. Thank you for watching. Did you have a good time answering kinky questions?
Yes.
You never have a good time. You never have fun.
I like talking about myself.
Well, anyway, I hope that everyone who has questions about kinky stuff has somewhere they can go to explore. Look at your local events, your local kink events, do some exploration. Always talk to your partner about what you want or what kinds of things you want to try. And in the end, find something that works for you. Whatever floats your boat or gets your knob turning. Is that a phrase?
I don't know what the kids are saying these days.
Tweet at me, email me, DM me, question me, or comment on my videos. If you have any questions, sex questions, I'm now a certified sex educator and I can answer your questions. But today I've been very under the influence because I'm on my period and I'm sad. So I'm sorry that my answering skills weren't at their top-notch quality. I don't want people to think that I'm really this crazy all the time. Okay. That's it. Go to Folsom Street Fair next year. And keep being kinky, everybody. If you are. If not, that's fine. Do whatever you like.
But if you're kinky,
if you're kinky, yeah, be kinky and proud. Alright. Wear me out of here, pussies. Bye. Purr. Cats do this.
yes, so do you.